Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wonder Man review slash spoilers discussion. I am your host, the implied Travis Snell, and I'm joined by nobody. As we've talked about, it's definitely a weird week here at Geek for scheduling wise. People with life wise, people getting sick. That's why an episode of Fallout and SideQuest is already out because Kirkland and Taylor was supposed to record something. Kirkland was feeling under the weather. It's a weird week. The Trash Told You's recorded like on a Monday and Tuesday. It's it's an odd time here, but I will say this is the content you're getting this week. You got the Seven Kingdoms and the Gimmick on Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. You got a TTY, Trash Told You, on a Monday and a Tuesday. You got the hang on, I got the four there. You got the Xbox Direct and the SideQuest, and now a Wonder Man review. So that is seven. There's more episodes. Oh, and then Saturday, the Gimmick with myself, David, and S Bubs talking about the Royal Rumble. That's eight podcasts for 1 week. That's just on the main feed. There is the Marvel Draft that's on Patreon early. There's the MCU Golden Geeks. If people, I guess, because it is Wonder Man, in case anyone's new checking these out, should check out those episodes because the Marvel Draft is where we draft 10 characters for the whole year, and it's like a fantasy football draft. And then the MCU Golden Geeks is like our Oscars, but for the MCU last year, and talk about what the best of the best is. So you got those early on Patreon. You're going to be getting originals this week. You're going to be getting a Travis Told You exclusive about the box office this year, my predictions. You're going to get a bread and butter from Kirkland. That's like, what is that? Over 10 casts. I'm saying we're doing it better than anybody that's not getting not their full-time job. We're doing it better than them. And I think we're doing it better than like some people again, especially, hey, there's some podcast stuff I listen to, and times gone, I was like, man, you get a little lazy because you get the big following. I think we're anything but. We try not to be lazy, and I hope we hope you're enjoying all the content. A big shout out to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Superbad Mike, God Loves Me 69, Hidalgo, Lenny Kravitz, Cocktail Clay, John No H, Sam, and John M. A big thank you. Obviously, all the tiers phase 2 and up have exclusive episodes, but if you go on the producer tier, 1, you get to pick a movie to review. 2, you get to vote on the content polls and decide what we're reviewing or doing. And then 3, you get all 46, which is, I think actually now, it's going to be over 50. It's going to be over 50 exclusive episodes on the feed this year. So lots of stuff. So we hope you enjoy all that. And yeah, if it's your first time listening, usually I am joined by other people. We got 4 people. But like I said, because schedules and sick, at one point Dylan was going to maybe join me. And then he just said, oh, busy week, I don't know if I'll get to it. So he said, you can just have it. And then at one point Taylor was like, oh, maybe I could. But then fall got moved. So it's just me, because if it doesn't get reviewed now, it's going to be away. And honestly, it's just kind of worked out this way because Emily and the girls, they went to a hockey game because Lone goes to Girl Guides, and they got some sort of deal on it. So they went to Girl Guides hockey, and I guess, team won, had a great time. So literally I was just alone with the twins from like 4 to 10. They got back just an hour ago. They're not going to school tomorrow, but yeah, it's one of those things where it just kind of worked out that like I got nothing else to do other than just hang out with the twins. So I was like, sure, I guess I'll watch this whole series, where I had done that with Ironheart and other stuff, but it was always a couple weeks after the fact, right? So that's something. So I feel, let's see some people in the chat. So if you guys have any questions about Wonder Man, I will get to them. I'm going to do my overall. And as we've said before, we've kind of changed it where for most of the TV shows, we don't do a non-spoiler section, but for this I will, because they dropped it in binge. So I'm going to talk for about 10-15 minutes, maybe some minor spoilers, but nothing you haven't seen in a trailer. And then I will go into spoilers. And there's not too much to break down as far as the spoilers, to be honest. It's an interesting show, an interesting time, right? Let me get this going here. Late night live, the good old days. It's like the old Travis Told You, right? But yeah, so Wonder Man, my excitement for this has been, I don't know, I've honestly forgot about it many times. Forgot about it multiple times as it's leading up. I was always a fan of the idea because I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Yahya is amazing. He's I'm doing the March Madness Best Actor draft or Best Actor votes coming up in like February and March. He might be on that list of 32. We'll see. He's up there, right? But I was always excited by that point. But it kind of felt like Echo or Ironheart, where it feels like this was in a time where these shows were greenlit because they just wanted a bunch of content on Disney Plus, right? Which made sense with Disney Plus launching and COVID happened. They want to do a bunch of that there. And that's where with this show, it's super interesting where And like I said, non-spoilers. I did enjoy this show. The positives, what I talk about with Yahya, the first episode, I'm like, man, I've not seen Yahya, I think for myself personally, since Aquaman 2. He's just so damn good. There's just little things, like in my nickname, The Applied. It's a minor spoiler, but he's talking to someone about a script, and it's like a 5-minute conversation about the script and how like he sees something that no one else sees. And he's like, oh, well, this is what the script, it says this. And like, I don't think it does. And he's like, well, I think it's implied. And then he goes back, like, he just has little line deliveries, which is funny because, like, the Simon Williams character is all about, should I pronounce it this way or say it like that? Like, there's some fun kind of synchronicities there between the two characters. And, like, I think Yahya is as a real actor. So he's great. And I think it's a fun story. And I think that the interesting thing is, in itself as a pocket, just by itself, I enjoyed Wonder Man. It was a good time. Like I said, I think Yahya was great. I think there was some fun to be had. I think that him and Ben Kingsley, actually, like Trevor Slattery and Simon Williams, has become one of my favorite MCU pairings. Trevor Slattery is a character that I'm very much like in the middle. We were talking about in the Discord where Mike, he said he wasn't a fan. I know there's lots of people that aren't. Obviously, he was in Iron Man 3, that short, All Hail the King, and then Shang-Chi, right? I think I've been like 50-50 with him. 50-50 on Iron Man 3, 50-50 in Shang-Chi, but I still like Ben Kingsley, right? This is the best he is in this role because they get to humanize him a little bit. Obviously, he's like the co-lead of this, so... And I thought, wasn't Ed Harris supposed to be in this show at some point as his agent? I don't know. I guess that never happened, right? But them as a duo works really well. I think one thing they've kind of said, like, oh, because of the strikes and all this stuff, it's kind of a shame the studio came out before us because we tackle a lot of stuff. Not really to me. Like it is a show about a couple characters in Hollywood, but I feel like there's something where at one point they're explaining to normal people what a callback is, right? I feel like this is the way where in the studio sense, the studio breaks down like goes deep into Hollywood, goes deep into stuff that us film nerds care about or talk about, right? Where I feel like the stuff that's talked about in this show that's Hollywood is very like GA stuff. People that have no idea really about anything how Hollywood works, right? Like, what's a callback? What do you mean? Is that good? Like, it's very, even there's multiple characters that are very GA coded and stuff, and that's fine, right? But I think it wasn't like a situation where I saw this and went, oh, they really did do the studio at like kind of a Studio S show and the studio beat them to it. That sucks. It's got a bigger impact. I don't think so. I don't think it's that clever in that sense. There's some fun stuff, don't get me wrong. This is a fun, enjoyable show. This is a show that I don't know when I'm going to watch it again. I could watch it again in the future. I would love more of these characters. But at the same point, I did put in the description here, where I'm at like a dividing point with this show, and it's more so just from the business aspect and feeling as far as when it was greenlit. It's interesting because it is what they've said. It's a show that feels very much like it does not need to be in the MCU. It could be more so in The Boys, not in the sense of like gross, like sexual and radar stuff. No, just in the sense of there's a storyline in episode 4 that feels very Boys code, where it's like, oh, we're going to focus on this character, tell a story, and it ends up in kind of a dark comedic fashion, right? There's nothing that's where it's tough, because if I think there's people that want different things from the MCU, but I think it's a tough time right now for the MCU, because I think I've said it before that I think they want to rely on some of their bigger characters or bigger IPs. And I think something like this, in the world where people are maybe expecting crossover or the connections, there really is none of that. There is some callbacks or some Easter eggs. There's one in Spoilers to talk about, which is very fun, but it's nothing. It's not earth shattering. It's not like it's not connecting to a bunch of other projects. There's not even a post credit, like it is very much by itself. And that's why for me, if the three things I'd recommend, that if you're a Marvel fan, you just want all, I'd say, or at least let's say if you're a Marvel fan and want to watch something at least that I would say good quality, that's there, right? Because I know there's tons of people that love the MCU, but if it's Rocky, maybe I'll skip that one. I wouldn't say skip. If you like the Marvel Universe, there is, obviously Trevor Slattery's from it, and then Sam Williams is a character, Wonder Man. Like, there is some fun stuff, and I think the show overall is good. If you like Yahya, I think it's good there. And if you like just the Hollywood stuff, I think, or if you want to just like that, like this reminds me of like a one-shot comic, where we're just looking at a small character inside the Marvel Universe, but it is very much off to the corner, really have nothing to do with anything. You could put this in multiple timelines, pretty much maybe until after Shang-Chi at least. Like, it's just kind of there, and that's where it's like I do enjoy it, and I would love more of, especially these two characters together. I don't know where we'll ever see them. I think it's the last time we could ever see Wonder Man, to be honest. But that to me was the core of the show, that I thought they had really good chemistry, and it was such a fun buddy dynamic that I thought they nailed that and hit that out of the park. So there is reasons to watch it, but if you are the person that is fan of the big events in the MCU, or the crossover, the connections, or if you like the, oh, how's this going to go in this is not that. This really has I'll just say, literally has nothing to do with the MCU in a sense of the greater MCU, right? There's no lead up to Doomsday. There's no like leading to the next show or movie. It's just another character with superpowers in the world. It's not even like Daredevil or Jessica Jones, where it's like, oh, they're alluding to the incident, or they talk about Thor with the hammer. It's not even that. Like you see pictures of like other heroes, sure, but it feels very much by itself. So, which I think is like a, from me, I don't care, because like as long as the show's good, that's fine. If it's a show that's bad and has no connections, then that's maybe the ultimate worst thing, because it's like, now I really watch this for nothing, right? But I enjoyed the show. So as I said before, those are the people I'd recommend it to. As far as for the future, this is stuff that like like not trying to sound. I think this like denigrates the show more than I want it to, but I don't think the MCU can make this type of content going forward for the TV shows and the movies. I don't think they can make the, oh, well, this is kind of in the MCU, but really have nothing. I think there's so many people that want a story, or want those connections, or want everything to line up. This doesn't do that. And maybe you could do this with like an established character of, let's say they went, okay, even Vision, right? Vision was a successful show in Avengers movies. Let's say Vision Quest doesn't tie up with anything, right? It's just a Vision story. I think that you could get away with more, because it is a bigger character, not one of the A-tier characters, but still a bigger character that's like, okay, I'm going to watch what Vision does because I really enjoy this character. I think, to me, if you're not really connected to the MCU and you're not a character that's established, that's a really tough sell for people, especially nowadays when, one, not everyone just jumps on anything comic book wise, and two, we've talked about this many times. Trez told you, there's so much content out there now. It's like, and that's the thing where for me, and I'll give this score because of people, I know this just dropped, so lots of people won't be getting to the end of, or maybe they'll never will. For me, this is a 7. So I enjoyed it. I also didn't think it had like a big moment I'm going to remember. I think from the trailers, and honestly from episode 2, I think most people that consume a good amount of movie and TV shows, maybe even not, you can tell this is going to go. Some of it's the trailers, but like it's pretty formulaic that way. I think there's a couple things that aren't. I think there's some fun instances. Like I said, I think episode 4 is a little bit different, but I'd say where the main characters go, it just, you know where the story's going, right? So there's no big surprises. I think Yahya and Ben Kingsley is great, but they also don't have like an amazing, like we talked about in the Golden Geeks, where it's like, oh, that scene, I got issues with Born Again. That scene with Matt and Punisher coming face to face, reuniting, that's like an all-timer Marvel scene, right? I don't care, movie, TV, like that's up there. I don't know where, but it's up there. That doesn't have this. If you like superhero stuff for the fighting, so even if you're like, oh, hey, that's fine if it's in the Marvel universe in a pocket by itself, I want to see the actions, like, there is, I think, 2 action scenes, and that's like stretching it. The scenes are very brief, and they're not anything incredible, and that's fine, because that wouldn't fit the tone of the show. The show is more of a dramedy. It's more of a actor in Hollywood trying to make it, and he has a secret, right? It's not about the fight scenes. They put him in some situations, but it's not like with She-Hulk, where it's like, okay, we got to do the origin, we got to set up as the lawyer and Bruce's cousin, but eventually we're going to see her fight, right? Which we did. This isn't that. You're never getting to that point. So I guess that could be a bigger spoiler, but I think that's for someone that's on the fence. Go, okay, so there's not like a big scene that I'm connected with. There's not like a big action set piece. There's not a big twist. And like I said, the story overall is somewhat formulaic, even though it's not formulaic for the MCU, because we've seen from an actor's perspective, or a hero that doesn't want to change the world. So for me, what it is I do, it's formulaic, but I still like the stories of the characters. I like the performances, and specifically those 2 characters together. And then there is, some fun stuff. I don't think I was ever like belly laughing, but got a couple chuckles out of me. I enjoyed it. So I watched it all back to back. I enjoyed it. It was never like a slog. These episodes are pretty short. There's one episode that was like easily like, without credits and everything, when you skip the recap and then credits, was probably about 20 minutes. It says it's like 3.5, whatever, but I can't remember when I finished. I feel like it's even less than that if you skip the recap and you skip the credits. Like I said, there's no end credit scene. This wouldn't really fit it. And even then, like when we get to the end of it, it's like, Okay. Like it just like I don't know. It's interesting where it's something that I enjoyed, but I could easily forget about a lot of this in the future. It's just it's the performances. And that's one thing that I've talked about before, and we all talked about, where if you get great actors with mediocre material, they can raise it. And I think Yahya and Ben Kingsley do that. You know, when they're talking about, you know, the comparison studio, I don't think it's that level of creativity or as far as that level of humor either. It never hits those strides for me, but there are some fun moments. So yeah, that's where I am, a 7. Not the definitely not the worst in the MCU. It's like a very much like I'd say mid tier, bottom mid tier, somewhere there. And I guess that sounds bad because now there's a lot of those. I always kind of forget because before bottom mid tier in Marvel was still very good, right? When they had a great track record. Now there's a lot of stinkers there, so I'd have to say, like, let me look up here. I just want to quickly, I haven't ranked it yet on my letterbox. I think it's up there, but let me go take a look at just to confirm where it is before we get into spoilers on myself. But yeah, I feel comfortable with 7 out of 10, and I don't think that would change. Like, I think with a rewatch, maybe one day I will. I'm not in a rush, but like I enjoyed enough that I would watch again if I want to see some with Yahya or Ben Kingsley, or if these characters come back, maybe to get excited, because it is an easy watch. But like, right now, I can't remember all the projects. On Letterbox, I have 54 projects, but the problem is there's like probably some on Letterbox I can't rank, right? Or multiple seasons. Um, let's see. Because, like, that's the thing. Like, so it would be technically it's the same score as like Brave New World and the Marvels, where there's stuff, or even like Age of Ultron. But even then, like, those still have like some great moments or something, right? But then there's some bigger misses in Brave New World or the Marvels, right? So I feel like it is like, so if I have 54, yeah, it probably is in the bottom 10, unfortunately, for me with this list. So take what you will. I'd still say it's the positive because technically I've only failed um, three things in the MCU. I failed Echo, I failed Ant-Man and Wasp, and Secret Invasion. So still pretty good record for the MCU. So yeah, like bottom 10, but still like a pass, still not like C plus C, whatnot. So let's see. Punisher says, I have a theory about Wonder Man damage control will become or Orchis? I don't know. That I don't know much about damage control. I didn't read much there. We'll talk about them in the spoilers. I think that stuff I guess I can also say this non spoilers. I'll get his name because I feel bad. I feel like I have fucking zeroed this guy out since No Way Home. But let me see Wonder Man. So they set up or what is it, damage control or what? Yeah, I think it's damage control, or I know that was the show, but whatever. Let me just take a look here. What is his name here? Arian Maillard, I think. So this is a guy that's played this character a few times, right? He started No Way Home, and he's just like hunting back, like powered individuals and whatnot. I've seen him in other things. I've enjoyed him in those things. I am not enjoying him in the MCU. I think also because people have this, he plays Agent Cleary. I think because people have this theory, which I don't mind, right? I talked to one Travis Tully where damage control could eventually become like a Friends of Humanity or something where it's hunting mutants, right? Because I think this character in the damage control or the DDC, whatever they are, like the rumor is they are in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and if Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey or another powered individual, they're after her, right? I think my problem with that is this character, Agent Cleary, is played kind of like a buffoon, kind of goofy, you know? In Spider-Man No Way Home, he had some moments where he got up on Ned, but it kind of worked there, right? I just think for those scenes with them being kids, when they're dealing with adult stuff, I just really don't care. Yeah, okay, there you go. Punishes or just the anti-immune organization hell bent on destruction of mutants and living island Krakoa. Yeah, and I feel like I've heard that theory. I'm down with that theory. I think it makes sense. That's just my problem. Where I like this actor. I just watched Nobody Wants This like a couple months ago. He was fun in that. I enjoy him. I just don't enjoy him as Agent Clear here because if that does go into the anti-mutant thing, I don't want it to be kind of like a buffoon, jokey type of guy. Maybe you eventually oust him out and you get someone that's very evil and very bad, but it just doesn't. It just feels very Barney Fifey. It feels like you can easily outsmart these guys, and they do all the time. Even this show, like Trevor Slattery outsmarts this guy multiple times. It's like, so what? At some point, I'm supposed to believe this guy's gonna be a threat to like Charles Xavier or Magneto. Like, I don't buy that, right? So I think there needs to be some change up with that. And again, anytime that character is on the screen, I go, ugh, just takes up some time. So, but there's not too many characters in the show. He's like maybe your fourth lead or something, right? So yeah, like I said, my recommendations. If you like Yahya, if you really like the MCU, or at least if you like Marvel stuff, you want a good project. I don't think you need to be in a rush to see it, though. Even in that, like, I'm not saying if people tell me, like, did I enjoy Wonder Man? Should I watch? I'll say, yeah, but just mileage may vary for people. It's not one we saying, oh, you gotta go watch Wonder Man, right? Because I'm trying to think of the last series I would have done that for Marvel. Like, even Agatha, right? Like, Agatha for me had peaks and valleys, started strong, had some middle, but though the penultimate, the finale, to me, that's something where in a show, big thing that happens, multiple big things, but everyone knows the twist, right? That's seen it. That's where it's like, oh, I will remember that for a very long time, right? Where this doesn't have that. This is just like a good time with Yahya and Ben Kingsley with some little, minor drama. And like I said, fight scenes, powers, they are not in here. That is like they are, but they are under 5 minutes maybe all put together if you do like a highlight reel. There's no moment where it's like, oh, he gets his suit in and fights all the bad guys. No, that's not the resolution of this show. So yeah, it is an interesting one. So I'm going to take a break. I'm gonna take a drink of water here. If anyone's not seen it or whatnot, now's the time to bounce out. I don't think it's gonna be super long because like I said, I don't think there's too much to spoil, but yeah, so now's your time. We'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So, and what I mean by there's not much to spoil, where like it's not technically their fault, but in a way where I think one of the first images was Yaya at the premiere Wonder Man in the suit, right? So I'd say up until about episode 7, it's like, oh, is he gonna get the role? And it's like, well, fuck, and even then, like the show's called Wonder Man, right? So you assume he's gonna get it, but it's like, of course he's going to get the role, right? So that's like the biggest contention with Yahya, like for just his goal, right? His other stuff is he is a secret, which we'll get into episode 4, which I really enjoy, but he is a secret. He has superpowers and they don't want actors to have superpowers, which we'll get to, right? So he does have that. There's some, kind of allegories for, sexual orientation, stuff like that. I don't think they dive too deep into that. So that's something I could have really enjoyed if they would have zeroed in on that, but I think they wanted to hit more on the comedy aspect. So, okay, they're doing something different. That's fine. But those are his two things: are a struggling actor who's trying to be Wonder Man, and he has the secret that whenever it's so funny because it reminds me a lot of I just watched it today and I haven't seen it for the longest time. It was Punch Drunk Love because I'm trying to watch all PTA's movies again because I want to rank them. It's similar where in that movie when Adam Sandler would get nervous or pissed off or annoyed, he'd go somewhere and punch something, right? Whether it's a person or a bathroom or a wall. That's where Wonder Man kind of is like that too. When something's off, when he feels like he's being embarrassed or used or he's mad, that's when his powers really pop off. And he's using that also as a thing where I enjoy where when he gets a script and he talks like, oh, I got a method. And there's at the beginning of the show, we see where he's talking with the director and he's talking with all of them. And, like, oh, let's just shoot the scene. He's like, oh, well, I need to know this. Would you actually be doing this? Well, let's get the script writer down here. And that's where that's the implied line. I loved that fucking line delivery of like, he doesn't say that. Yeah, but it's implied. It's implied. And then he goes back to talking regularly. I can't do it. Yeah, does. But he has fun little just like isms that come in there and are effortless, right? He's great. No notes on Yahya. He did fantastic. But that's where he has to write all these notes on his script and all these kind of little, sides like do this or try it this way. One, because I think he's just an obsessive character, but two, he's also semi-worried that if he like truly shows himself, his powers could slip, right? Because they're kind of emotional based. It seems like at the end of the show, it seems like he has some control because there's been a time jump. But for the whole show, it seems like if that emotion gets in, it happens. We hear there's some incident when he was like 9 or 10 that he like an explosion happened and caused a fire, but then later on at his mom's birthday, he freaks out and destroys the table. Multiple times with Trevor Slattery, when some drama happens there, especially at the end, he blows up the entire set because he finds out Trevor Slattery's been, kind of spying on him. So that's what it is, and I like that, right? It's kind of also in tune to the like what the acting role can be, right? Sometimes they want you to be vulnerable, but you still got to like rein your emotions because you got to give this performance, right? So I think that works there. So those are his two kind of stories. So like I said, with Wonder Man, he's going to get it. And then with the other one, like, I don't think we don't like, there's one great moment that had me for a second where he's acting and some guy's like ragging on him and he gets so mad he like punches a hole through his head. For a second I thought, oh, this show's going to take a big turn, and it's just a dream sequence. But that's that's pretty much it for the power spectrum, right? It's just seeing him try to do that and overcome that, and he does eventually, right? Like we get the time jump, it's like a Hulk thing where we don't see how, but he does overcome that because at the end he's flying and doing all the stuff, which we'll get there. So you kind of know what's going to happen there. And then with Trevor Slattery, like maybe I'm wrong, maybe other people push back, but I feel like I saw the whole thing beat for beat where, okay, which I like, they pick up that, okay, obviously Iron Man 3 happens, he gets arrested for posing as the Mandarin, right? And then the real Mandarin busts him out of prison. So when he comes back from wherever it is in Shang-Chi, he's come back to America and he gets arrested right away because they point out of like, hey, you didn't finish your prison time. You're still a felon. You didn't stay in there your whole sentence. And he's, well, that wasn't really my fault, which is correct, right? He was kidnapped, but he's like, that wasn't my fault. So what they say, and that's where Agent Clear is, he's going to get him to be a mole, be a undercover agent, right? And his first thing, because he's an actor, Simon Williams is an actor. They have like, I think 3 incidences that they think Simon Williams, like things have happened around him. So they think he is a powerful being, which they are breaking down on, right? And that's where it's interesting. I do want to learn more because I feel like since Endgame, that's been murky waters. I understand when the Sokovia or the Sokovia Accords were going, but it's like, is that still a thing? I don't know. I don't think they care that much, but that's the deal where, hey, you can be free, but you got to help me catch this guy. And he's an actor, so perfect. Go be his study buddy, and they partner up, right? And to me, when this, like, it was like episode 2 where, and this is exactly what happens. I'm not saying I knew the exact episode and the beat for beat, but the overall big story beats, the twists and turns as far as, okay, he's there to spy. They're going to become friends. He's going to tell him about that, and something's going to happen with Wonder Man here, and then Ben Kingsley is probably going to take the fall for him, which he does, which is done a great way. And then, like I felt like the last shot of this show, I didn't know for sure it was going to go all the way, but I was 90% sure, and I was right, where Trevor Slattery ends up going to prison, because what he does, I guess I'll say it here, is first it's just he's spying on him, then they do become friends because he genuinely sees him as a good, talented actor and a good person, so he's trying to give him helpful hints and experience, all this stuff, because he's obviously, Trevor Slattery can see something's going on with this guy. He's a lot of talent, but there's something bottled up in him, right? And through there, they become good friends. Even the point where I love the scene where after he gets Simon Williams gets the Wonder Man role, he goes to dinner with like his agents as his team. And for no reason, they're like, we don't know why Slattery's here, but they just like to hang out and get along. Or even there's in the episode before which I'll get back to, Simon is getting interviewed and he's all worried about it's going to go wrong. Slattery's there's the whole time like covering for him, helping him, right? So obviously they bond together. But that dinner scene is so great where they're like, oh, well, right now, like you're going to get cast in Wonder Man. And they've pitched this as, if people don't know, it's almost like if you were to remake Superman 78, right? In a sense, almost similar to like what James Gunn did, where we're going to make a similar movie that has that type of kind of spirit and message. Because they even talk about like, what could Wonder Man be today and how could it inspire people today, right? So it felt like it was a lot of people look at this as their Christopher Reeve Superman. They're trying to do like a James Gunn Wonder Man too, right? So when he gets this role, his whole team is like, hey, well, we can capitalize on this. We can get you a bunch of other roles. Your name's going to be hot. And their idea is you should do it before the movie comes out because you never know what's going to happen, right? Which is a big thing in Hollywood, right? Like that's the same thing as, I can't remember who said, like Leo recently said that, where people asked him, like, how do you continue the stardom, right? And he said, like, well, just don't take on as many projects. He kind of mentioned, like, look at my career and things I've done, take a little breaks, kind of, and now I'm paraphrasing, but you make the audience miss you. But then he also specified, which I agree with, he's like, but not everybody's in that same position. Some people might need the money or just want the money, whether it's for themselves, whether it's for family, other things. And it's like, if you're getting all these opportunities, it's hard to turn them down, right? And that's where he gets to, where they're like, oh, well, we got a Netflix show with you, Shonda Rhimes. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like humming and hawing, and he throws to Trevor. And he's like, what do you think you would do? He's like, well, actually, I'd pick someone with more prestige, maybe, something a bit more passionate, show off your chops. And he's like, yeah, you should do it. I'm going to do a play. And I love the scene where his whole team is trying to kind of chase the money, and he turns to Slatter. And in this moment, Slatter's not like being like an agent where he's twisting it against him, right? Like trying to pull him over. You can see they genuinely care for each other. And I could have done even more. These episodes are short. I could have done with even more episodes, like even get this to 10 and have another fun adventure with those two, but I digress. But then what happens is eventually, because he gets cast as Wonder Man, I can't remember, it's like Barnaby, Trevor Slattery, of course, gets cast as the sidekick. And then again, another great moment too, where I was talking about this interview, the whole episode, because he has the powers, It's like Kathy Freeman, I think the name is, and she's known as like this. She's a writer for the New York Times, but she's kind of like cutthroat, right? Where she's heavily esteemed, but she'll find the people. They talk about this Joseph Gordon-Levitt pigeon story, right? She'll find the people to do dirt on you. So they talk to his mom. Everything goes good there. They talk to his brother, who in earlier in the series they set up of like he dislikes him and he wants him to fail, and then later on we do show that the brother's just like it's just being tough love. You know, they lost their father. It's just tough love. But the same thing, Kathy's like, oh, well, what are you going to say about your brother? He's like, oh, it's complicated. What do you say about me? And she's like, nothing. He says he loves you. He's very proud of you. He didn't know you could do it, but you're doing it. And then he like kind of takes that in. Even his ex-girlfriend, she gets interviewed, and she's like, hey, I know everything. Like, I know you have powers. I know you were hiding it from me. I was waiting for you to tell me, but it's not in a bitter way. It's just a way that I wish you would have told me, and maybe we could have worked this relationship out. So I love the framing of this episode that all of it is like, man, Simon's secret's gonna get thrown out or like put out there. But really what Kathy is, the interviewer, she's after Slattery because he was posing as the Mandarin and then he was arrested, which that's how he figures it out. That she says like once you got on American soil, you were arrested, and Simon did not know that. Kind of puts two and two together that he might be a mole. There's some other stuff, but I liked that flip of the whole episode is making you think, oh man, this is going to be it for Simon. She didn't really care about him at all. She's there to like interview the former Mandarin terrorist guy, right? So that's where he gets mad about this. Like they have the conversation. Simon gets mad because he feels like he's been used the whole time. He goes out walking out to the parking lot, but on the way he's passing through the set, he completely explodes the whole set. It's kind of like an energy bomb going off, right? So when that happens, which I really love this, I can't remember if it was this episode, but we got to see his like first audition as the Mandarin, them telling him like, oh, make it scary, lower your voice. That I thought was like a really fun kind of flashback to Iron Man 3 a little. And I think they do that a bunch with Trevor, like add little things in between. But what they do is he calls him and he's trying to like win him back in a sense of like, I'm really sorry, you were my friend. And Simon's having none of it, right? And Slatter's like, you know, you are my friend. I'm going to prove it. I had so many chances in life. You haven't. I'm going to give you that chance back. He takes the fall. He again dons the Mandarin getup, which is good because there's no Mandarin to come get him, right? And he takes credit for the bombing of the studio because he's saying that Hollywood with their brain dead movies are brainwashing people. So that's the idea of taking that. He even does, I did that, you know? And they come and arrest him. So he frames himself for Wonder Man's explosion, and then obviously he sees that, okay, he is a good friend, he meant well, it was just a mix up, and that's where I already thought this was happening, but I didn't know it was gonna be exactly like this. But he's putting like some sort of, it's not the raft prison because it's on like, I don't know, like soil and dirt, like you could just drive to, but it's like a high security prison, right? And I didn't know if it was gonna be a security prison or where it would be or a truck, but I just thought that's how it was gonna go. And I feel like if you're listening to this, obviously now you've had the spoilers, but I think most people when they watch the show, you're gonna kind of know where it's going. You're gonna know most of the beats, right? And that's why they got these, I would imagine, great actors so you can elevate that, which I think they do. And that's what happens where he goes to some guy, he says some security guy at this prison, and I'm saying Simon goes to him, says, hey, I want to do a movie about you. Can I follow your life? So he's following his life for several weeks. Eventually this guy is like, oh, I got you clearance to come to my work, and his work is where this prison is. He uses the opportunity to get Trevor Slattery out of there, and they just hug. He's using his powers. He's controlled because he took the door off easily. He's using his powers to like get ready to fly, and he does. So it's like whatever the time jump was from the movie coming out and Slattery being arrested to now, Wonder Man's like completely opposed and willing to break the law. But he does even like give the guy, the guard, who was unwilling. He did not know that Simon was going to do this. He thought he was just there to study a movie. He transferred a bunch of money into his account, and then just ends with Agent Clearing. Be like, he could be one of the biggest assets or biggest dangers to us of all time because he has some sort of fucking power. I can't remember the exact name, but it's something like that. So again, it's kind of like, for me, the best way to describe what the show is, if it's like a coloring book where I could have told you what the main pictures were. I couldn't tell you what they were going to be colored in as, but the main pictures, I feel like that's where it's pretty formulaic and it does its stuff. I think the audition episode is fun when they go to the actual director's place and there, Simon's all about prep and he's prepping, and the director's like, I want to do something fun. Like, I'm going to give you a scenario and you go. And he gives Yahya and this guy, because they have different scene partners, he's like, you're having an affair and you feel like Yahya's pulling away, and Yahya, you're pulling away from everybody, right? And because Yahya, they've said that he's such a prepper, he can't. And Slattery's tried to like get him to do this, like on the spot, just go with the motions, how you're feeling. He can't do it, so he starts to reenact a scene from Pretty Woman, which is great because it has one, like he's fun in it, but has nothing to do with the scenario that the director gave him. So he's like, "Oh, I'm really disappointed. Like it's not going well for you." So, and again, Slattery comes in there, does that, but I think that's a standout episode. I do think I enjoyed some of the earlier episodes more. I feel like the comedy was just hitting a bit more, but that was good. And then what they did do, there's probably some other stuff I'll bring up too, but to set this up is they have this episode 4 called Doorman, which was a very interesting like short movie in the MCU where this guy, we don't really know how, but, and I'm sure people know the comics know what that is because I'm a comic book reader, but I've said before, like I am like in my tiers, I'd put myself at like a high C plus as far as knowledge goes because there's tons of stuff I haven't read or it's been a long time. There's a guy, he works at the club. He's just a doorman. At one point, he walks into an alleyway and sees like this like goop that's also a hole and whatnot. He touches it, and I don't know if this gave him powers or unlock powers, but he has the powers where he can like teleport you. You can crawl through his stomach and then you'll end up somewhere. I don't know if it's he gets to pick the location. I think it is, or he just has to think it. I don't know. But this happens randomly at a nightclub. He gets famous because Josh Gad's there and Josh Gad talks about it. And he's also like, "Hey, I want you to be my security and everything." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I really like my job. Here's just a doorman." He's like, "I'll give you 200K a year." Okay, done. So it escalates to he is security for Josh Gad. To someone sees him like, "Oh, you should have like a cameo in one of his roles and we could use that power," because they have some sort of set or practical prop issue. And like, well, this fucking guy Dorman, like he's getting social media famous and he has a power. Like we can use this to do that. So they do that. He's in a movie. He gets an agent. He starts to act more, but eventually the roles start to go away and he's just like in these commercials that are very cash in. And then when things are really down out, he does some sort of like, he sponsors like microwave potato chips and they like steam burn a bunch of people. And this is, and to clarify, if you're listening to this that you haven't seen the show, episode 4 up until like the last 2 minutes, it's all about this character Doorman. Not a single like Yahya comes in the last 2 minutes because he's hearing this news, but no connections. It's just like its own. This is why actors cannot have superpowers, and I like that a lot. I've always said there's more shows that we should get of the past couple of years that should have just this character episode or this event episode, because some of us feel like we're missing out. So that's all what this is about, is just Dormant. I can see why this show overall was binge. I don't think it is also just like to get to move on. I think there's like a little bit of that, but it's not a train wreck show. Like Secret Invasion or even Echo, that I understood of, okay, like we want to move on. We don't want people talking about this too long. This, I think you could have people talk about, but at the same time, I think more people will click on it and watch the whole thing versus how they're going to watch it weekly, because multiple episodes, the cliffhangers are very minute. They're not Marvel level, right? And then even episode 4, I'm sure, like myself and stuff, because I like the episode, I would have been fine with it, but I think they still would have either done a 2-parter, or they think that, hey, there's this one episode that like it's great for the world but does nothing for, if you like Yahya or Ben Kingsley, what should we do with it? And that's where I think they go, well, I just feel like there's a lot of signs to making it binge. Now, obviously, it's not the greatest look, because I know Balga's brought this up on, he's host of, Chris Balga, host of Marvel Alliance, and he's on Balga stream a lot. We talked about this, and he talked about that, where it's like this, Ironheart. I know there was another one where it's like a lot of the projects that are with people that aren't straight white males, with like people of color, are getting the Echo, is that right? Are getting the binge model. I don't think it's all because of that, but it is like a curious situation, right? And that's the thing where I don't think that was just because, Wonder Man's black character, let's get him out there. But it doesn't help when there's too many examples, right? I think just the format of the show, Echo, I think you could have still done weekly. I think Ironheart, you still could have done weekly. I don't know what the return would have been. But with this, I don't think even the way the show functions, you could have made it weekly. It just doesn't, I just don't think people would be coming back to it. And I think a lot of people would just fall off if you're not big in this universe. And even if you are, I think people could fall off, because there's some episodes that are just, it feels very much like a binge show. Like you need the whole show because there's not much in it's just like, oh, 2 characters laughing, having a good time, right? So we talked about them. We talked about the damage control people. Let me bring up my notes here if there's anything I missed here. No, I wrote the Joseph Gordon-Levitt joke about the pigeon dream. That was good. No, I think I brought anything other than there's like, and this is where it's like, okay, there's one episode where he has to do on audition tape for an indie, right? And he's trying to find. He watches some tape about they set up that him and his girlfriend break up, or she just wants to move, and that's how they break up, just kind of by default. Eventually, they do talk again, but he watches a clip and he sees her, and he just can't get in the right mind space, so he needs some help with it. The episode's all over where they go, this person that he pays to do the tape, she's terrible at line reading, so they don't do that. They try to go to Trevor Slattery's apartment. There's people playing rock music. They eventually go to Joe Pantanello's house, and they set up that him and Trevor Slattery had like this friendly rivalry back in the day where he got replaced, and Kingsley's character, Slattery holds it against him the whole time, where then Joey Pants is like, it's because you were late and high on drugs all the time, like they had to get rid of you as the lead. So he's taken as like this personal addendum, where really Joe Pantanello is just like, I just took over because they thought you were fucked up. Like, I have nothing to do with this. And it's great because he kind of makes some cracks at him, like, oh, it must be great not to be an actor. You don't go worry about your looks or this. And Simon's like, he is an actor. Like, that's what I love. It's not just like the line was, oh yeah, he's an actor to inform. It's like he was defending him, whether it was like, it felt like much the age difference there, like a big brother standing up for his little brother, who like clearly the Slattery character was kind of embarrassed by some of these remarks, saying, oh, you don't act, you don't got to worry about how you look and all this stuff, right? So they were going to go there to record this tape. That doesn't go well. There's this great kind of callback, which I really enjoyed, is when they do the movie. Obviously, Trevor Slattery, he's in prison. He was, like I said, cast as Simon Williams, like co-lead in the movie. He's in prison, can't do it. So at first, it's just him acting with a green screen or a green tennis ball, right, to add the actor in later. And then when they show it on premiere day and they show the actor, it's Joe Pantanello, who they said like they had this like feud, right? So I thought that was a good callback joke and very funny. I thought that was very clever. I think that worked out very well, and I think the Joe Pantanello episode was also just very funny. I like, not very funny, but like, again, not belly laughing, but I had a good time seeing those characters interact. Because at first, Simon Williams is very humble. He's like, oh, Joe Pantanello, like he always took a Matrix. He even takes a call with his agent. He's like, I can't talk to her now in Joe's house. I'll worry about that tape later. It's like a very don't meet your hero sort of situation, right? And yeah, so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that callback. Let's see, is there anything? I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. We touched on Doorman. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say, I went on a different tangent for people if they didn't watch it. What they said of as Doorman, right, because he does these chips, and he has this moment where he apologizes to social media, and all the world's turning on. They're like, is this 15 minutes up? So he has this catchphrase where he says ding dong as well. He's pretty much went to, everybody loved Doorman, and then everyone hates him. But then his first movie he did with Josh Gad in this cameo was called Cash Grab, and Josh phones him. He's like, oh man, and Josh has some wild stuff in this episode. At one point, he's like very drunk or very high, and he's in a club, and they're doing like a remix to Build a Snowman. I was still somewhat surprised. I know it's Disney, but I was still somewhat surprised they let the actual song play. Gad was pretty fun this episode. He's playing a very over, like, exaggerated version of himself, but Gad was fun this episode. But what happens is on the set of Cash Grab 2, they're doing the same they did in Cash Grab 1, where there's some stint where, oh, we got to get out of this bank. How do we do it? Oh, well, Doorman. I guess he's just playing Doorman in the movie too. I don't know, but also he can get through his stomach, right? And just teleport. He does that, and the second he goes in Gad's stomach and it closes, Doorman just throws up everywhere, and then Gad doesn't come back. So he like killed Gad, or Gad's in a different dimension, and that's where it starts. And Simon Williams was watching this video on his phone because it kind of cuts to present day, that because this one actor had superpowers, either people don't want them on the show for just like obviously like kind of racism kind of aspects, or it's just danger. They even say like, hey, if you have a superhero on the show, the insurance is going to be out the fucking roof. So that's where it's like, as an actor, and that's where it comes into Yahya's story, you don't want to be revealed. There's a couple times, there's one episode where like a biker sees him, records, and they go on a whole goose chase where they get a bite back, and that's another good moment too, where him and Slattery, they're going to try and get this bite back because the guy said, hey, if you give me my bike back, I'll delete the footage of Simon Williams being a hero, right? And he has this whole thing, and they make him such a nerd. He's like, oh, Law & Order, episode 5 from season 15 or something like that, right? He's going on stuff that he's done before. He gives the whole synopsis for the Lord of the Ring, or the Law of Order episode, because his idea is, okay, these people that have the bike are probably criminals. What their plan was, okay, we're going to say we're undercover cops. We were investigating something, and we were given the license plate of this bike and said it was stolen. So it all makes sense, right? It's this great layout. And when he talked about Law and Order, he's like, I'm just going to use all the lines there. They're like, oh, perfect. Second, the door opens, like, it's the Mandarin. So the cover is blown. And then all the stuff that's going on with another gang after Wonder Man and George Slattery, and then there's like the police that show up. So there's some fun moments there, but yeah, I think that's it then. And yeah, I guess I forgot to mention Doorman's career is just over after that because, obviously he probably killed Josh Gad. Even though it was accidental, he probably did. So that's why Simon's just all about hiding this. And I guess there could be fun more hijinks in a second season, but I don't think they're going to do that. And again, I don't know. We seem to see Slattery a lot, so maybe we will see Ben Kingsley again. I don't know if we're going to see Yahya. I would like to. Even if they were to say a Wonder Man season 2, because I didn't love the show, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, at 7 out of 10, that's where it is. Where I probably will watch this again one day, but I'm also in no rush, and I also won't be going around telling everybody like you gotta watch Wonder Man. No, it's not. It's not a Loki level or a WandaVision or even the ending with Agatha. There's nothing like that, right? So that's right. I just don't know how that's going to do with the general public. Especially, it's not like, oh, watch Wonder Man and he's going to be in Doomsday. That hasn't been confirmed yet, right? So there's a little less of that. And that's, I don't think, what the show is trying to do. But as I talk about non-spoilers, I think they're gonna have to change that because I think the shows and movies are gonna have to do what they need them to do, not what they want to do, what they need them to do. And I just don't think Wonder Man's gonna pull his numbers. And I think, like, from the budget, as much as I enjoyed the show and Yahya, I don't think it can be justifiable, right? So I'd like to see these characters again, specifically just the duo. I think I was locked there. I was very happy with that. Like I said, I was surprised how good their chemistry was, especially near the back half. I would take more adventures of those two, even if you brought the budget down. I guess maybe even animated if they wanted to, but I hope to see them somehow again, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just going to, okay, well, we got Wonder Man. That was fun. And we'll move on to the next. Yeah, the next show is Daredevil, which we already got teasers for, which you can go back in the feed. It is there. Obviously, there's lots of episodes in the feed right now because of the schedule. But yeah, that is it. I know we'll talk about this again in the future, probably whether it's Golden Geeks or what we've been watching, because I think a couple of them plan to watch it. So yeah, we'll probably return to Wonder Man again at some point. But yeah, let me know in the Discord, the YouTube, social media, whatever, if you have some questions or some thoughts or some pushbacks, or maybe there's something you think was more deeper that I didn't give enough credit. Always, as long as you're kind and respectful, we are always taking questions and always listening, always interacting, so we very much appreciate it. But yeah, that's the end of this episode. Like I said, I recommend it for a few groups of people. 7 out of 10. Don't think it would get lower. Don't think it would get higher, though. Overall, an enjoyable experience, but nothing that I think that on the whole side, if you're asking me, that's where I guess I should end that too, where it's like, when I clarify, like, oh, in the grand scheme of things, what the MCU needs, I'm talking purely from a business perspective, right? Purely if you're to sit me down and be like, hey, we got a lot of budget of blank for this year. Should we do Wonder Man 2? I'd say, like, well, unless you're adding X, Y, and Z, probably not. Like, I don't think the MCU now is in a place where I know they have the spotlight, unless it is, and those are special presentations, I guess, but I think spotlight could only work for newer characters that are in a small amount. But again, that's special presentation, right? So I doubt we see much of this in the future. I feel like when we've heard rumors of Strange Academy coming back, that makes sense. Strange is a very popular character. Wong is a popular character. You do that. Rumors of, hey, there's going to be a couple of X-Men shows. That makes sense because they're going to be pushing that. I feel like that's in the future where you're going to get, and there's going to be, which some people might like, because I'm one of those people that I really enjoy Phase 4. I love, not everything hits, but I love the chances they took, and I thought they tried to diversify. I think a lot of people did not, so that's where I think Wonder Man might fall in that camp for those people of, I will never watch this show for whatever reason, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the next slate of shows and stuff they announce, even though I don't think we'll get big slates in the near future. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Wonder Man. Like I said, if you have any thoughts, there's all those places you can contact us. And I promise when you hear from me next, which won't be now, unless you're getting on Patreon, lots of casts there, but won't be until the Saturday, the Royal Rumble, which is a great time. So until then, I promise you, it'll not